Hey guys, welcome back to the Artistic Recovery. I'm Josh, I'm a recovery advocate on the team here. Today we're talking about self-awareness when it comes to music and how healing can happen in your recovery journey when you actually begin to take into account what you're hearing and what you're listening to in music. So we're going to be talking about the power of music, the power of spoken word, and how self-awareness can lead to a stronger recovery journey. I'm joined by a special guest today. Roberto Montes is here to talk about his story and how music and spoken word has been a positive influence in his life.
Absolutely. Thank you. Thanks for having me. My name is Roberto Montes. I appreciate the opportunity to come on here and speak with you guys about spoken word and the power of it and the ability to use it in recovery. I'm originally from the southeast side of Chicago, grew up in a neighborhood where drugs, gangs, violence kind of ruled that area. So it followed me in life for a long time. Led to multiple convictions, in and out of jail, in and out of recovery. And actually, the last time I came through a program and was able to really stick with it. More so, I feel like for me was one step, and I had found Jesus Christ at that time. That was important for me in my walk. So I got into music or rapping when I was younger. I wanted to be a rapper so bad, mainly because I originally wanted to play instruments and it didn't all work out for me so well. So my voice was my instrument. And as a young man, I really got into wanting to be a rapper. And as years went on, even at that point, I think when I was young, I was very careful with my words or my idea of how I want to present myself. So I think even at a young age, I had an idea of what I wanted to come out with the way I spoke, the way my lyrics sounded,
Right.
which I think is a very important thing. But as I dabbled into that, those dreams also kind of died on me, and I became a father and
Yeah.
kind of stepped away from being a rapper and wanting to do that. And years later, I got asked by my pastor at church if I would do an opening on Easter Sunday. It's kind of a spoken word, and for the first time, I thought, man, it was a big deal to be on
Yeah.
stage Easter Sunday at church,
Right.
and I'm looking at the spoken word, and it just made a lot more sense to me, rather than just rapping and the lyrics I had wrote all my life and the positivity that this message was bringing. So
Right.
I started to dabble in that. I really, was encouraged by that opportunity, and then from there, just started writing, and then was asked to do more projects, and then, I was asked to teach a class on it, and then things like
Wow.
that. So I just learned a lot myself with it, but also was able to teach a lot of others and get my own growth, and then watch others grow, being able to use it. And then also was able to use some of my talents and gifts to help others in recovery with Frontline and other organizations. So.
So sharing that with more people, like in the church context, but in the recovery community, and there's this connection that you're able to kind of bridge that gap for somebody who is maybe not comfortable expressing their faith because maybe they don't really have that faith right now. They're just trying to get through the day that's in front of them.
Right,
You know.
absolutely, yeah.
So, Berto, let's talk a little bit about self-awareness when it comes to music.
Sure.
Why is that important? Why is it important? And can music, if we were listening to a song right now, actually cause a trigger?
Absolutely, yeah.
Maybe kind of go into
So
that.
absolutely,
Yeah.
I think it's like we always need to be careful what we put in our bodies. Like as for food, we could look at what we consume. If you eat too much fat or too much carbs or too much of anything is it's bad for
It's
you,
bad,
right?
yeah.
So I think the same way with the things we listen to.
Right.
Eventually, those things start to take precedence. And I've used this before, and I do mentoring with some kids, but I always
Yeah.
tell them it's like the law of thought. It's like what you think is what you speak, then what you speak is what your actions are, then your actions become your character. And so
Wow.
it's like what you're listening to is replaying your thoughts. And usually music will create a moment or a memory, so you always have that like I go back, I'm like, oh yeah, like that song takes me back,
Yeah.
you're like, that's when I was a kid, just you have that memory. And
Yeah.
especially in recovery, I'm sure, I mean, music is everywhere. Music is always present in culture. And so when you've using or not using,
Yeah.
there were songs that influenced you or will take you back to that moment. So
Yeah.
definitely can cause that relapse. Definitely can be that trigger when you hear a song that's like, oh, that reminded me of this big party we
Right.
had, and
Right.
or I went to a concert and I saw this guy, and so those definitely can
Yeah.
cause those relapses or bring upon triggers that would definitely send you into that mindset.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's good. When you think about your journey when it comes to writing songs, you know, therapeutically, what are some ways that someone right now watching this can actually begin to practice that process of writing a song?
Yeah. So on a more personal level of where we want to or how we can use this for ourselves, how we can use music or songwriting in recovery for ourselves, even when we don't really feel like it or it doesn't feel like a good idea or it kind of feels dark and kind of feels like, a bad day, you're having one of those. Definitely, once again, I feel like you have to catch your thoughts at that moment. Catch them on paper, catch them on your phone. For me personally, I record them audibly, so I really get to hear that. It's some feedback from me that I could listen to, and I can really tell where I'm at that moment. For other people, I mean, there's other ways to do that, other ways to express that, or try to write it down, or try to put it on paper. But for me, I think recording verbally is huge and powerful. But in those moments, it's going to be something that you can hold on to and look back at. It's also going to be something that, at that moment, when you're able to release these feelings, opens up a whole nother space for, I think, in this negativity, a positive space for, like, okay, I got this off my chest. Okay, I said what I needed to say here, even though it something I may not put out in the world publicly, but it was something that had to be said, something that had to be written, and maybe be shared and be helpful to others, even in the negativity view that I had on it. So I think that's important also to have that personal time, that personal recording, that personal note, those things, especially in those times of and when you're in recovery and you're not feeling you're at top notch, you're winning that day. So definitely also
Right.
important to reminisce on those times as well.
To go back to those as reminders of, hey man, like I may be feeling kind of down today, but like I've had a really good Tuesday last week, and like what was I doing differently maybe that day to help me get into that space?
Absolutely, because I
Yeah.
think there's you got to have that rewarding also in recovery. There has to be some type of a reward system,
Yeah.
because it's not always peachy keen. It's not all
Yep.
grand. So it's a struggle, and so people
Right.
maybe it's good for them to see that, maybe it's not, but
Right.
at the same time it's there. So
Yeah.
you dealing with it the best way you know how, and definitely through writing or putting it in a recording or on paper, however it is
Right.
that you do it, definitely getting that out. One of the things I like to do when I'm writing song or spoken word, very first thing I do is I pray about it, because I need that spiritual intervention when I'm doing something. I just think that's a huge connection there. But one of the things I really like to do is do some research, on the topic, whatever my topic may be, whatever somebody would ask me to do something, or it's something my own passion, something I've thought of. I'm like, hey, I'm going to start writing this. Do some research on it. It's a big thing. Definitions, synonyms, while I'm writing words, while I'm looking up, just doing research on whatever the topic is. I like to even get a definition for those specific words in the topic, or that specific
Right.
word for the topic. And then, just go further into it. As I'm writing, get reviews from other people, especially people you respect, or somebody who's been there before, or somebody that, that your significant other, whoever it may be, to give you some feedback, get feedback on what you're doing, or how you would, or how you're preparing it, and just see if you're really hitting the notes you want to hit with it. Like, am I really touching the people I want to touch? Is this making sense? And staying on topic. And, I think a lot of people they start writing things and it gets off topic. It goes a lot of different places, which I've done myself, but I know also other people get to this point and they're like, oh, I want to add this. Oh, I want to add that.
Yeah.
But staying on topic, staying focused on really what the point you're trying to get across, I think is super important. And then it's just, it's just helpful. And, I think we'll even talk about this more, but therapeutic when you're having success in writing what you're wanting to write, when you're, getting out what, it feels good. It feels good for you, for your soul. You can, when something's coming out good. But yeah, those are a few things I like to do is definitely get some research, get some reviews, and just, really put your passion into it, make sure it's heartfelt and be honest with what you're saying.
Isn't that interesting too? In recovery, it's important that we have people that are supporting us. It's not a solo sport.
Absolutely.
In music, it sounds like there's something there too where you're getting feedback and it's not this solo sport.
Right.
You're getting feedback on, does this make sense to me? I've had this brand here of following X, Y, or Z. It's led me down this path of destruction, and now I'm choosing a positive path, and people that know you best want to help you, and you're saying, I'm attaching myself to something new.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So today we've been talking about the practical uses of music. When we hear music, sometimes it can take us back to a specific place. When we use practical things like our phone in a positive way for us to attach new meaning to music, but also how do we originate the lyrics on the inside and put them on paper. And so we've been talking with an actual artist today about his journey through recovery up until this moment right now and what music means to him. And so, Roberto, anything else that you want to really just touch on and go into and just kind of bring into this closing here of why music can be such a positive influence for people in the recovery?
Yeah, so for me, I really feel like the power of life and death is in the tongue. So your words are powerful. So what you're going to say, and especially when you put music behind it and make it sound better, it's powerful. It's going to impact people. It's going to influence people. It's a culture. It's in every culture, music and the power of it. And you can see that throughout history, and especially right now where we're at in this world today. I look back when I was a kid, and a lot of the rappers back then were talking about selling drugs, big, fancy house, cars, yachts. I look at the culture of rap now, and it's a lot about doing drugs. I'm on Molly. I'm on this. They're all talking about how even the gangster rap has gone from like being a get to I'm taking drugs to be a gangbanger. I'm taking drugs to go shoot somebody. They're like, oh well, if you can't do it sober, the lyrics these days. So it's so powerful, and it's just you could see the reflection.
Wow.
I deal with a lot of people in prison, the juvenile system. I do mentoring with these kids, and then some of the adults also. But I just see that. I see that culture as it is now. What they're saying in the music, the way they're presenting it. From everything from the words to their style. It just definitely has changed a lot, and you can see the way music influences culture.
Wow.
You're looking at people who are saying things, and you have some type of respect for them because whether they're good people or not, they've worked hard to get into the industry, and they've worked hard to be where they're at.
Right.
And and then they're putting out really negative vibes in music and things into the world. So once again, I just think it's super important we watch what we say, or we at least try to be more positive than negative. And I think a lot of people miss that. They don't want to be the role model. They don't want to. They don't want that responsibility when it comes to your words. They just want the paycheck, or they just want the fame, or they just want the glory. And I think a lot of people need to realize that it's not all fame and glory, and
Mm-hmm.
and just to be real, I think
Well,
being honest with your words, being genuine. When you hear these
mm,
people on the radio talking about they're killers and
yeah,
shooters, and you're
yeah,
probably not. You're probably at home in this
right.
nice little studio,
Mm-hmm.
and you may have never lived that life. And so
Right.
I think being genuine and being honest is super important as well when we talk
Mm,
about getting listening to music and what we're listening to, or putting our own out there, and what we're putting out there
mm,
is just being aware of what's really going on,
right.
what people are really doing,
Yeah.
and then for yourself, if you're trying to put your own music or spoken word out there, be aware of what you really want to put out there. Like,
Yeah.
what is the outcome, because
Right.
once again, words are powerful, and I am a firm believer that they have a huge effect on society, on yourself, on
Mm,
community, on the
mm.
people around you, what your loved ones, what you say, how you say it. And I think that's super important that we all be aware of how we speak.
Berto, I know we didn't plan on doing this, but I was wondering if you would be able to share the theme of recovery as a song, as just a spoken word with us, and maybe
Yeah,
just put into words somehow of what this episode itself has brought to you, and maybe you can express that through
sure.
spoken word.
You know what? I'll give you a little snippet of something I got that
Mm-hmm.
I had done a while ago, and
Mm-hmm.
this is really this was super powerful word I wrote years ago, and have always added little bits here and there, but it's called addiction, and it goes like this: addiction, led by lies or led by fear. It's that little whisper in your ear that will tell you anything you want to hear. It's addiction. It's this repetitious submission to the flesh. It's where reality meets fiction, where resistance becomes friction, where your spirit and flesh clash and you can hear the collision. But it's all a decision. End up dead or in prison, or get fed dope by these dealers that treat you like pigeons.
Mm.
That's a life without vision. It's the perception of death to keep living unforgiven. It's where the mountains get bigger and the hole you keep digging, it has no ending. You can't see the beginning. And I'll leave it at that.
Wow. Thanks for tuning in today, guys. We've been talking about music and recovery, the benefits of how songwriting can actually influence you to go a little bit deeper inside and think about what we're listening to become self aware, and to help us write what's inside. Our special guest today, I want to thank you again, Berto, for being here
Yes, sir.
and sharing your vision and your passion for music and how that can truly help your recovery today. And for more resources like this one, you can go right back to where you found this one at artisticrecovery.org for more podcasts, videos, and blogs. Stay tuned for the next episode, and we'll see you back here again.